This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 105, about Gotham, A Dark Knight, season 4, episode 3, They Who Hide Behind Masks.
This is Victoria Cartagena. I play Renee Montoya on Gotham.
Hey, this is Andrew Stewart-Jones. I play Christopher Allen on Gotham.
This is Robin Lloyd-Taylor. I'm David Mazouz.
Hey, Gotham TV podcast listeners. This is Maggie Gia, otherwise known as Poison Ivy.
This is Drew Powell, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, old friends. Welcome back, Gothamites. This is Derek, one of your hosts, and we're talking about episode 3 of season 4, They Who Hide Behind Masks.
Yeah, hello there, fellow Gothamites. This is John, your other host, and we are here talking about masks.
Yeah, many masks in this episode.
Many masks, but not all involving a mask.
Yeah, absolutely. This is obviously our spoiler-filled review of season 4 of Gotham as we're continuing our coverage. This episode aired last week, and really enjoying being back to covering Gotham at the US pace. And just want to say, because we haven't said it last episode, but just want to say a welcome to all of our new listeners. Really good to have you on board with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome on board to this Gotham TV podcast, where, of course, if you don't already know, you can find that at Apple Podcasts. Just go gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes. Or in fact, now you can go to gothamtvpodcast.com and just hit one of the many subscribe buttons, whether you're an Android fan, whether you are an Apple fan, or whether you are just simply a fan of RSS feeds. Yeah. You can go over there and click to subscribe. Please subscribe and, of course, share the love as well for the Gotham community.
Absolutely, and speaking of new listeners, really, really good of Miss Jennifer to leave us a review over on iTunes. It's our first review over there in about 3 years now. Well done. You broke it just before the 3rd anniversary, Jennifer. Thank you so much for that. Jennifer gave us a 5-star review and says, don't know how I didn't find this podcast until season 4, but it is truly the best Gotham recap I have heard. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer, for that. That's really, really nice of you. And of course, yeah, sharing the love is always great.
Yeah, if you want to leave a review for us, just go over to iTunes, as John said, through gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes. It'll take you straight to our page over on iTunes. You can leave us a review if you'd like to hear some more. If you want to send us any feedback at all, you can email us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. Tell us what you think of the podcast. Tell us if there's anything you think you want to improve. Or you can enter our prize draw, which we've been doing every season. The prize draw for this season is all about the best moments of Gotham, and there were tons in this episode, really.
Oh, completely. I think this was a fantastic episode of Gotham, and I think with that we should probably delve on into it. Derek, what are the episode details for this episode of Gotham?
This episode was directed by Mark Tonderoy, British director. This is his 2nd episode of Gotham so far. He did Like the Wick in season 3, and he'll be back for episode 6 of Gotham. And it was written by Stephen Lillian and Brian Winbrandt. We'd mentioned last time they were on board that they've gotten their own show. The two of them are writing. We thought they wouldn't be back for season 4 of Gotham. I am delighted that they're back.
Definitely. I think some of the best moments between Bruce and Alfred in Gotham so far are really good to see a Bruce and Alfred-centric episode for sure.
Definitely. So, John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for the episode?
Sure. Jim Gordon takes matters into his own hands when he travels to meet Carmine Falcone as he attempts to persuade him for his help in the fight against Penguin. There he meets Carmine's daughter, Sophia Falcone, who unexpectedly follows Gordon back to Gotham. The battle for the prize weaponry of Penguin continues during auction night at the Iceberg Lounge, and the presence of Bruce Wayne puts him on Penguin's radar. Bruce dons another mask as billionaire playboy and beats Barbara to her prize, the dagger of Ra's al Ghul, her new mentor. Meanwhile, the iceberg at the center of Iceberg Lounge is melted, releasing a damaged Enigma back onto the streets of Gotham.
Yeah, the official synopsis for this episode said that Jim Gordon goes to Miami, which I thought was really surprising because Miami is not a city that exists in the DC world. So I think it might have been written by somebody in the marketing team over at Warner Brothers.
It was a very cloudy Miami and a very hilly Miami as well. I suspect it wasn't Miami.
I suspect it might have been in the Hamptons in New York.
I think so. Or in the DC world, it was probably called Beach City.
Beachville, Beachtown, yeah, something like that. Yeah, so they do kind of mention the show I was looking out for. Carmine says in the flashback episode that he has a place down south to go to, but I think someone has made the guess that it was Miami, but definitely not Miami. We are in the DC universe. A lot of the cities are just are named things like Metropolis for a city, obviously, and Gotham for a dark city, representing New York. But yeah, some really good stuff going on in this episode. I think it's time to get into our top 5 case notes. If you're just joining us, the way we talk about our episodes is we choose our top 5 moments from the episode. Sometimes some good, some bad. This time I think most of them are going to be pretty good. Lots of stuff went on this time. Our case note number 1, Cass dons a mask. This is kind of the opening sequence where Bruce is checking out the shipment for Penguin, and he sees another mask wearing person on his radar.
Yes, he thinks it's just another burglar, or does he? I wonder think whether it's another vigilante. But in any case, Kat is lucky to escape the bullets that are riddling the side of that truck that she's trying to try and break into. Were held in there. We have Ra's al Ghul's dagger, and of course we have that amazing opening from 2,000 years ago where we see Ra's al Ghul being resurrected in the Lazarus pit by another previous mentor, and we see this dagger here. Ra's obviously at some point has lost that and is now trying to reclaim this dagger, which is, I think later on in the episode, is called out as a resurrection dagger. So this must be something really important with regards to the Lazarus pit. In fact, I think he does say it is key to the whole thing.
It's the key to everything, that's right.
But yeah, here we see Selena with a mask on to protect her identity. She doesn't know that she's been watched by Bruce. But here is another set of interactions between Selena and Bruce here on the streets of, or the docks of Gotham. And I must say, I really am liking this kind of parallel look at how the two of them are evolving. I think it's a really nice touch just because they're so intertwined, when they are the full-on Catwoman and Batman, and a really difficult relationship. And I think you really get the sense of that difficult relationship coming out in this episode, and I think in Gotham in general. But I like how there's the parallels to them sort of sneaking around for different purposes, but they still have a moral code which they go by, and I like that their relationship is so kind of it's not straightforward by any stretch. It really twists and turns and can be difficult at places. So I really like how it captures that. Yeah,
and Bruce doesn't recognise that it's Selena, right? He
don't think so.
Her. We find out that Selena's been told to put on the mask by Barbara. So Barbara's her mentor, just like Alfred is Bruce's mentor. She's learning and picking up little tips and tricks from various people across the city of Gotham, and her development as the character as well, which I think is really, really cool. But she does lose the respect of Babs because she fails in this mission. She's lost that position where she effectively was a partner in Barbara's business, and getting that ability to be a member of the new Gotham Sirens effectively in this city, because she doesn't do this. So I think that's quite interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. Selena has got a really interesting story arc, and with her association with Tabitha, and certainly with the more mysterious Barbara for this season. But I do like that she's still interacting there with Bruce Wayne, and that relationship is kind of, it's almost out of pure grudge that it's still going on. And certainly later on, when we see that she expects that she can just turn up at Bruce Wayne to steal the dagger back from Bruce after he has managed to get hold of it. And it leads to a really nice little scene between the two of them, and you can hear Bruce's exasperation with her of, what did you expect you could just do? Yes, I'm a billionaire, but I've just spent $2 million on this. He calls her out as being Barbara's, well, he really calls out that she's Barbara's lackey, kind of runner, just doing everything. And it's a really interesting thing that the two of them are so close yet can really break apart and seem quite distant at the easiest opportunity. And I think that's a really good scene. I think it really kind of, for me at least, really explains maybe, the almost grudging loyalty they have to one another, but also deep down there is something special there, and they know that, but they can't help but also hunker down and really approach their own relationship from, the high moral standards of Bruce and the high personal standards of Kat for just trying to get along and to really make a success of herself. But that is within the realms of being with the underground of Gotham rather than, the more socially acceptable elite like Bruce. And I think it's a nice little contrast for here, that it really flows through these two characters, and to me kind of projects into the future with Catwoman and the Batman.
Absolutely. I did call it out last week with the way that Tabitha treated Selina, where she effectively said, get this message to Barbara, which meant that Selina was carrying the message directly to Barbara. And then this week we've got her being called out again by Bruce as being just a lackey. It's quite interesting. That didn't work out too well for the people of Gotham and their treatment of Poison Ivy a couple of weeks ago. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some backlash from Selina. She keeps getting treated as a runner rather than a partner.
Absolutely. I mean, I know we've seen some of the training that Tabitha is doing with Selina, but I feel that all of a sudden that's gone into the background a bit, and I would really have loved to have seen Tabitha and Selina really gel as a couple, and Tabitha be a real influence in terms of her training and her strength. And at the moment, other than a few alley scenes and so on, I don't think we've seen that, and it's a shame. I almost would like Tabitha to be like Alfred for Selina, almost have that relationship, because I think for those two characters, it would have been really, really cool in season 4 to also see, the development of Catwoman and Selina Kyle in the same way that we're seeing Bruce, certainly because the two of the characters have so much shared history and a shared relationship that is difficult.
It's an interesting one with Selina, though. She is one of those people that just butts up against any type of authority at all. And Tabitha's not the best at giving directions either, without kind of a bit of a swift backhand if you don't follow her lead. So
no, that is true.
So they are quite an interesting group to be mentor and student when one doesn't listen to the other, and if you don't pay attention, you might get a whip across the face from the other. So.
Absolutely. But speaking of people who don't listen to advice, on to Jim Gordon, our second case note. Who heads off down south to Beachville, aka maybe Miami, to try and get help from Don Falcone. He is here on a mission to try and bring some of that old school mobster respect and symbiotic relationship between the mob and the police in Gotham.
The mob and the Gordons, quite specifically, because he calls out the fact that his father used to have quite a good relationship with Don Falcone, and that's why they kept the peace of Gotham in the past. So he was looking to rekindle that now. After 3 seasons living in the city, he realises actually maybe the mob weren't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Jim, it really is the case in point of the grass is most definitely greener on the other side.
Absolutely.
Given his moralizing to Falcone in previous episodes of Gotham, he is now sort of looking back fondly, if not nostalgically, as to that moment when, cops could be cops, mobsters could be mobsters. There was no resurrection. There was no Lazarus Pit. There was no Indian Hill. And so now he's trying to default it, bring it back to a more romantic age in Gotham where, yes, there was still crime, there was still guns, but there was the line in the sand. But exactly as Penguin is trying to do, but maybe not quite as blatant. It was conversations in dark, smoky rooms or down in dark, underground passages or back alleys where deals were made.
Absolutely.
And he's not really a fan of Penguin's more public way of doing business.
There was very much this kind of style with Moroni and Falcone that they threatened a lot of people, but didn't necessarily act on them. It feels like the way Penguin and the other gangsters now of Gotham, the new villains of Gotham, the way they act is they kill a lot of people, and that sends the message, basically. So it's interesting. Before we go into the rest of the little points about this, little notes about this particular point, a lot of this is really to do with, I feel, a lot of setup for the rest of the season. I don't trust Falcone and never have. He's not a character that you would trust at all, remember.
Do you mean, is he dying?
Well,
is he really dying?
Exactly. There's loads in here that just makes a very dubious case for the relationship that's going to happen here. So first off, as you said, Falcone says he's dying, so he's refusing help for the saving of Gotham. Now, Falcone, if you ever hear a character say, well, doctors don't have any idea why I'm dying, some people say it's just payback. It's it felt like a very, don't investigate this, Jim, you'll find nothing, from the doctors. That's what it kind of felt like, the way he explained it. So I can't imagine we're going to lose Don Falcone very quickly.
And I also thought it was interesting that there was absolutely no mention of his recently bereaved son, Mario, despite the rather tense situation that arose between Falcone and Jim. He seemed to have put that behind him, or has he? I.e., that yes, this is going to have some kind of longer term payback for Jim that Jim is not really seeing at the moment. And I think this will most definitely involve his daughter Sophia, who we see here as well.
Yes, a brand new character to the show. It looks like she's going to be very centrally involved. She's very quick to take the bait from Jim, and also very quick to plant a kiss on the lips of this new Gotham visitor. Quite interesting, definitely. That always. And as I said, another thing, just don't trust it. She says the fact that she's a gangster. She says she's been a gangster for the last 10 years when living down south with her father. So, and she also says how close she was to her brother. All of these things should be indicators. Don't go near her, Jim.
Yeah, this is a relationship that you're not going to come out on top of, or there's going to be some serious hurt. And I mean, certainly she is getting herself very close to Jim. They shared a kiss. Mm-hmm. They took a romantic walk down the beach.
Yeah.
She also wears some fairly revealing stuff. And she follows him back to Gotham and comes into the GCPD precinct with some fairly rouge lips to really entice Jim. So, but Jim takes that kiss, which is kind of interesting because, Leslie has only just gone back to another unexplained place in the Gotham world.
I think it's up north, isn't it?
Up north, yeah. It's Boston. And or
probably Boss Town if it's in the DC universe.
Boss Town, or maybe she's gone to Bloodhaven to really get to town with Jim's prophetic dream of a bath full of blood, maybe.
Interesting.
But yeah, certainly I think this is not going to end well for Jim. There's too much chance of a double cross here with Carmine and Sophia being involved so close to her brother being shot by Jim. And whilst they may be playing into his vision for what they want, this could be just a route back to supremacy in Gotham that they see for Falcone. Whether Falcone is dying or not, whether that's a red herring, who knows? But certainly there's a great introduction here for Sophia, and I really liked it. I actually really liked all this jumping around. I mean, we started in sort of the ancient past with Ra's al Ghul around Persia, Mesopotamia, all that kind of stuff. The Middle East feel to at the start.
Absolutely beautifully shot scene.
Yeah,
huge,
really cool.
Absolutely, a huge shout out to Kaza FX who do all of the effects work for Gotham. and for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., loads of shows, they do a fantastic job of just creating this scenery. It felt like real budget was spent on that opening of the episode. Really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. And I think then all of a sudden we're jumping to this city in the south where Carmine is holed up in, sort of recovering and relaxing. Mm-hmm. Then we're back to Gotham, then we're back to Miami. This, at the start, there were so many jumps across different areas. It really did feel to me slightly like an opening of a Bond film where you go from the opening credits, then back to London, and then off to somewhere else exotic. This had a really nice fly around parts of the DC world that we don't know fully what the Miami place was, but this was really cool. I thought for the show to move around so much across space and time.
Yeah, and I think we've also said many times on the show that when Gotham works best, it works when it's focusing on many different characters and giving loads of room to many things going on. My last point about this particular part of the episode is I just feel like Sophia has just done a lot of research on Jim and the type of people that he's into, the type of things, the type of women that he's into. I think that's where she's coming from here. So don't trust her. We'll see what comes up, especially when she comes to you, Jim, and says, Gotham is my birthright. I'm not going to give it up. Yeah, you're probably going to have to take it back from her if you ask her for help against the Penguin.
She's certainly a bit of a femme fatale, I would say.
But yeah, now, John, we're fans of Gotham, obviously. That's why we do a podcast about it. We're huge fans of Gotham. Yeah? But we do have another fan here on the show. I think she might out-fan us. For case point number 3, Riddler's number 1 fan, Myrtle.
Absolutely.
Do you think this might have come from an experience maybe a member of the cast might have had in the past? Or maybe something that they're getting a little bit concerned about four seasons into this show, where there are some quite obsessive fans out there?
Well, that's it. I mean, we had a femme fatale for Sophia with Jim, and this was a fan fatale for the Riddler, definitely. It did feel very Misery-esque. I was expecting her to say, I'm your number 1 fan, but I have to say, I loved Myrtle. I loved her ramblings, her logic, her musings, and her devotion to the Riddler. Mm-hmm. It was so cool to see this fan break the Riddler out of his icy prison and then really begin to realize that he's a bit of a dick, really. He really was not gonna take to Myrtle. The Riddler is a loner. He wants to do it his way. Absolutely. He is the number 1 guy. He is the most intelligent to be able to bring about these plans. He does not want a Riddler-ette. He does not want this sidekick, which I thought was just superb. I think, Myrtle put so much effort into this, looking at the Penguin's schedule, really trying to break Oswald's security and get to her most prized possession, Riddler in ice. Yeah, he really doesn't show much gratitude. She's trying to bring his muscles back from atrophy. She's doing acupuncture. She's trying everything to get his muscles working again. She's even starting to read him riddles. I love that. That was just like a mother or father and child situation where she's reading him children's riddles at bedtime. I just thought this was so cool.
Absolutely. And one of the best jokes in the episode, in case you missed it, when Myrtle says, I think I was working the wrong muscle, and the reaction from Ed in the bed going, what? She goes, I meant your brain. He's, okay, fine.
Absolutely.
But he does cut her down to nothing when she comes out wearing her outfit, saying, me and you, I'll be your sidekick. Wouldn't that be great? And he goes, no, I think taking somebody else's idea and using it for yourself is the wrong thing to do. It's like just cut her down completely.
Yeah. But his brain is definitely broken, and he really delivers some fantastic answers to Myrtle's riddles. I think the one, what's black, white and red all over, of which Ed says, a nun in a blender. And then she reads from the children's ones about what's green and red and goes round and round at 100 miles an hour, which is a frog in a blender, of which Ed still, because of his brain, he cannot get any of the riddles. But I have to say, I just loved the comedy book knockout from Ed to Myrtle as she just, her head snaps across and then she falls. And of course, we have to say a big R.I.P. to Myrtle as well. I mean, this shining green light of fun, kookiness, has entered into Gotham, and then she is absolutely, uncompromisingly wiped out by Victor Zsasz, at the orders of Oswald Cobblepot, who has been going bananas over the loss of his most important centerpiece.
Absolutely.
But, Myrtle, whilst you were here on Gotham, you made me laugh. I loved the kookiness. I loved the Riddlerette sidekick, the outfit. I think it was more just to see the pain as well. It was just that sort of pain on the Riddler's face going, no, you're not being my sidekick. I don't work well with other people. And I just loved your enthusiasm for the post of Riddlerette, which was never going to happen.
Absolutely, yeah. Riddler really only has one thing on his mind, and that's the death of the Penguin. But there is some questions over whether she's dead because the camera cut immediately before Zsasz fired his bullet. And Zsasz seemed quite impressed with it. The fact that he compliments her dress and then pulls the trigger has led some people to speculate that we might see her back. Unfortunately, I think that was just because it was shown in the 8 to 9 p.m. hour in the US that we didn't want to see a bloody Myrtle. But an excellent addition, and is definitely our character of the week for this episode, having Myrtle in this show.
And my moment of the week as well.
Cool. Definitely, yeah. Let's go on to case note number 4. This is my moment of the week. Playboy Bruce Wayne.
The many faces. Indeed. We have Bruce, obviously, in his black vigilante outfit at the start. We also see him impersonating a nephew of a New York docker with his flat cap, looking very 1930s there. As Alfred says, we must devise new masks that are not just the mask of your vigilante outfit. And we have then the beginnings of his other alter ego of Playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne. And was this a treat to see Alfred and Bruce in this whole new situation? And I thought how David Mazouz played Playboy Bruce Wayne. The auction was a delight to behold.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, really, really enjoyed this. The first moment we see is Bruce buying a painting for 250 grand, so $250,000 spending on it in front of a room full of people that may have wanted that painting, and his instant response going, I think I'll put it up in the bathroom. I love art. It's great.
And he's screaming and whooping and trying to do high fives and everything, and ends up having to high five himself because Alfred is kind of like, no, that would upset my decorum and posure. And I mean, the auction with Barbara for Ra's al Ghul's knife as well, where he keeps going, 2,000,001, and then it's $3 million and 1 cent, and it is just the smile, the cheeky kind of mischievous smile on Bruce Wayne's face as Barbara is kind of getting more and more annoyed with Bruce Wayne. And I love how the Penguin comes racing in to seal the deal with Bruce Wayne before Barbara can say anything, so that she doesn't get the dagger. And then almost afterwards has to explain to him, you have to watch that one. You have to watch Barbara Keene. There's no doubt she will be after this, and she may come after you. Like the delight on his face that not only did he prevent Barbara from obtaining this dagger, but he's also in a sense placed Bruce in some kind of harm's way as well. He is an agent of chaos, no doubt after this, but I think Bruce Wayne doing his Playboy persona at that auction is absolutely fantastic. And I have to say, with regards to being the nephew of the New York docker Alfred on the boat, I absolutely love that scene in the captain's bridge on the boat, where Alfred comes to save the day after Bruce has been found out, and then has to just let his own American accent drop and knocks the two guys out.
Yeah.
And there is the reference that Alfred he goes, yeah, his acting's not that great, is it? To the guys, as he's talking about Bruce's, sort of Docker accent from New York. And it was just like such good fun. I would say as actors, this must be a really great thing to play. Not only is it, Alfred talks about improvisation, talks about the accents, the costume, all that. It must be such good fun to play. And I think it's a great new little avenue for these two to develop these different personas and these different masks of different people in order to break in and investigate. It's not simply the Batman outfit or the vigilante outfit. Absolutely. In this case,
Absolutely.
Really good.
And it's something that we have to see. We have to see the development of Playboy Bruce Wayne. We have to see that side of him, the public face of Bruce Wayne, because if he continues to be holed up in Wayne Manor and only occasionally come out at night as the vigilante, well, then the city of Gotham doesn't know who he is, and they'll obviously suspect that he's the Batman because there's no other choice in the city. Whereas if he is able to come out and do these events and throw his money around and look like a bit of an imbecile, then people will never suspect that he's the Batman. So it's great to see it. And I have to say, fair dues to David Mazouz. You said it as well, John, but this character feels so much more like the actor himself. He's not a stoic character. When you've seen him at panels, at events, at interviews, he is a kid. He's a really fun, lively kind of kid. So I'd say for him, allowing him to do this scene as well was just a joy for him to be able to release that stoic, quiet, angry, aggressive character that he's had to play for 3 seasons, and he's able to just have a bit of fun with everybody.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it moved on and developed the storyline of Alfred and Bruce. It had them central to the episode. It developed the vigilante aspects and the other personas of Bruce Wayne. But it was also genuinely light and funny, but it felt right. I loved how it interacted with the Penguin and with Barbara. It was also still, there was that little bit of a threat and danger from what he was doing, and because of who he's playing with, which is the Penguin and Barbara. And it was really, really cool to see. But as you say, he is on Barbara's radar now, and I think that moves us on to our case note 5 with Barbara and her relationship with Ra's al Ghul. It is not only the learning of martial arts, it's not only the resurrection of her by Ra's al Ghul from the Lazarus Pit, it is not only this cover for Ra's al Ghul in Gotham through the gum store, but it is also tongues. They have a relationship. There is a feisty bit of sexy play going on between Babs and Rabs, here.
Nice.
Really kind of interesting, but I love that we get this confirmation that Babs was brought back to life from the Lazarus Pit by Ra's, and I think
I'm just wondering, is the reason that she was brought back, is it because Ra's wants to stay in the shadows of Gotham? Like, he is 2,000 years old. He has obviously had to hide his identity quite a few times. This moment where we have Bruce realizing that it is Ra's dagger is because there's a drawing of him in a book 2,000 years old. I wonder, does Ra's want to stay in the background, and that's why Barbara's going to be his front of house now in Gotham? Is she going to be set up so that she does all of the work that would be out in the spotlight, so that Ra's won't have to be in the spotlight?
Yeah, definitely. I think Ra's al Ghul, it's the League of Shadows, it's the League of Assassins. These are people who want to keep their motives away from people. They like to control other people in order to get to their objectives. I think this is no different, but maybe the fact that he has seen fit to place it in the Lazarus Pit, which he wouldn't do with any one of his assassins necessarily, that he sees something special in her. Is there a previous relationship? I mean, he seemed to suggest that he had had an eye on her, that he had seen her work before. Why is this? Is this some kind of long lost daughter of his that she doesn't know about? Is she going to be a Talia al Ghul? Or is it something as simple as her being his front in Gotham now that the Court of Owls has gone? It's really interesting. But certainly he has fighty love interest with her.
I would say after that final scene, I really, really hope this isn't his daughter, Talia al Ghul, because that would be
That is true.
really, really
Yeah.
weird. Didn't think that one through, John, did you?
No, I didn't. That's true.
Maybe it's his wife and they give birth to Talia, possibly in a future.
Yeah,
potentially.
maybe.
So we always thought that Babs would be the wife of Jim Gordon in the future. Maybe she's going to be the wife of Ra's al Ghul, and they will create Talia al Ghul, because I would be really concerned if it's a long lost
so
daughter.
we can confirm probably that Babs is not Talia al Ghul, despite the theory from our podcast last week, and given that I have walked into a trap of my own making. But yes, certainly could be a wife then, maybe, and we get little Talia born. But certainly there is a spark there, a fighty spark.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens between these two.
Cool scene, and really, really enjoyed it. There was a cool moment at the interview that was with Erin Richards about her character for this season of Gotham, where she mentioned that she used to be a dancer, much like Cameron Bicondova, never had the success of Cameron Bicondova as a dancer, but she said for this season she was learning a lot of fight moves, which I think is really cool. It's come across really well. If you remember back to season 1, our laughter at the fight between herself and Morena Baccarin, where they fought over Jim in the apartment, it was hilarious seeing these two characters who clearly had never had any fight training, just slapping each other in the face for an episode, was hilarious in the first season and taken as funny, obviously. But seeing Barbara versus Ra's al Ghul in this episode, there's a genuine fight scene here.
Yeah, I love the fighting here, and I love how, Babs is on the back foot here. Raish is the master here, and how she is concerned potentially about what he may do, given that she hasn't been able to secure this dagger. But as soon as that he learns that it is Bruce who has obtained it, he's happy with that. That's his heir as far as he is concerned. And so Babs, unbeknownst, has done a good thing here. Yeah. She has absolutely being able to do the right thing as far as Raish is concerned. So I'm hoping that it also works out for Selena as well, who is presumably going to turn back up at Barbara's place empty-handed again, but Barbara is going to be a bit more forgiving and a bit more lenient with her, that, okay, that's a good thing. So hopefully we'll see how this dagger relates to this sort of building network of heroes and villains in Gotham. Yeah. It's probably just the MacGuffin to bring them all together, but certainly it's probably a little more than that, in that it is the key to the whole thing.
Yeah, really intrigued to see what that means.
But then so was the Crystal Owl, and really that didn't have the central focus maybe as we thought. It was kind of a bit thrown away in the end.
Not the original one, and the first one was thrown away by Jerome, wasn't it?
So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right. Yeah, I think that's our top 5 case notes for the episode. I think we've kind of split our moment of the week. Definitely mine is Bruce's line where he says, where he wins the auction and goes, "Am I right?" and goes in for the high five and has to high five himself.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good thing. But certainly Myrtle Jenkins, played by Ileana Becker, definitely I love the idea of the riddlette. Mm-hmm. I think just because it's so incongruous with the Riddler and the intellect of Enigma, and here we have a great performance by Ileana as Myrtle Jenkins, being this kind of obsessive fan of the Riddler, but in the end getting absolutely no kind of thanks from Enigma. But Enigma is in a strange place, and I'm kind of liking this, that his brain is not firing on all synapses at the moment.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to see how that moves forward as well.
Yeah, a great moment here from Alana Becker. Really cool to have her on the show. It kind of reminds me of Miriam Loeb back in season 2, with Oswald, the obsessive kind of crazy character stuck in the attic. Another great resident of Gotham, and sad that she's not going to be back. But John, what do you think overall of the episode?
I would give this 5 high fives out of 5.
Wow. And you don't have to give them to yourself either. I'm totally giving you a high five on that one.
Definitely. I thought this was a fantastic episode of Gotham. And I think primarily because you got a great sort of tour around different things here, from Ra's al Ghul's origin through to going down to visit Falcone and seeing Sophia Falcone as well, and just what that is going to bring to the table in Gotham. Is this a double-edged sword for Jim? I think it probably will be.
Yep.
I think, though, for me, just how this was so Bruce and Alfred centric was fantastic, and I loved this whole new area of them exploring different masks, the many masks of Gotham that Bruce will need to bring in order to be an effective vigilante, and of course Batman moving forward, so that he is able to investigate the things within Gotham that he is trying to stop and prevent. And I thought that was really good. I mean, for me as well, then having Ed Nigma released from his icy cage, and especially that he was released by Myrtle Jenkins, the Riddlerette, R.I.P. It was such good fun. This was a light episode of Gotham, which also had a lot of meaning, a lot of depth to it, and having a lot of consequences for this season moving forward. And I think that's a really great line to be able to bring to an episode. And that's why I give it 5 high fives out of 5. I loved this episode.
Our first 5 out of 5 for season 4 already, and we're only 3 episodes into the season. It has been that good. It really has. This is an episode I've been waiting for since season 1. I loved Devin Mazouz. I've loved Sean Pertwee together as characters all the way back to season 1, and having an episode that's so focused on them and allows them to stretch every bit of what they've done so far in a scene here and there throughout the rest of the episodes. Having all of these moments together in one episode has been great. Big shout out to Victor Zsasz in this episode for providing a little extra comedy when he sees the broken down iceberg in the middle of the iceberg lounge. His response looking at it is, it really opens up the room, doesn't it? Just thought it was great. His delight at getting the riddle right about the frog in a blender, really getting that approval from somebody saying, you are smart, Victor. That was quite cool.
Absolutely. I mean, Anthony Carrigan brings so much to this character of Victor Zsasz. It's a joy to watch, just the facial expressions of joy at a big gun, or being given an order to go off and kill. I think he plays it really, really well. Definitely. Within the series, and his responsiveness to whether it is Bruce, whether it's Galavan. He has been shifting around on many sides through his time on Gotham. He is a survivor. He knows how to work between different players. He was originally with Falcone. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a great character, and he brings a lot of joy, I think, to this show. It's really good. I think
all he wants is someone to be able to tell him who to murder next. That kind of seems to be his MO. I think I could talk about this episode all day, but we should really throw it over some feedback, shouldn't we, John?
Definitely.
If you want to send in your feedback, you can email us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, or pop on over to the website at gothamtvpodcast.com. You'll see a voicemail button on the right hand side, and you can leave us 90 seconds of your thoughts about any of the episodes so far, just like Claire Payne did.
Hello, Gotham TV podcast. I really liked the lighter tone to this episode, but it still had that element of mystery. Great to see Carmine Falcone back, and his introduction of his daughter, Sophia. She really wants to prove herself to her father, and I like the way Carmine was with Jim as well. Alfred and Bruce were superb in all the scenes that they did, and the auction scene was particularly fantastic. Oswald's reaction to Ed being defrosted was definitely how I expected him to react. This is where Gotham always surprised me. I was expecting a bigger, more elaborate scene of the Riddler being defrosted, but while I was watching the episode, there was a little voice in my head saying, it's Gotham, there must be more to this story, and there actually was, and she was called Myrtle Jenkins, and what an absolute delight. I loved how she is his number one fan. She knew him from school and was so disappointed when he didn't know how to solve any of the riddles that she was giving him, even though they were very simple ones. Unfortunately, she does come to an end in the hands of Zsasz. But I think the big shocker was Barbara making out with Ra's al Ghul at the end. But I have to say, I thought Erin doing her fight scenes with him were fantastic. Many thanks. Claire.
Thank you so much, Claire. Absolute shocker it was to see Babs making out with Ra's al Ghul. Certainly if she ends up being Talia al Ghul, as I said. Not. But I truly hope that it is maybe moving towards a relationship that will produce Talia al Ghul. But certainly...
I don't think Gotham would go there.
No, exactly. It's interesting, actually, speaking about Myrtle again, because to begin with, when she is about to break Ed out of the ice, she's just silhouetted, and you have no idea who this person is. And it does look slightly like she's got the goggles of Firefly, and certainly with the little lamp, the flame lamp that she's got, obviously not as big as Firefly's, but you kind of are wondering, going, is this Firefly? It really could be. Is it something to do with Poison Ivy trying to get back at Penguin, given how he has treated her in the past? So at that moment, it was unsure who this person was and what the motives, but for it to be then moved into Myrtle and the number one fan element, I think was a really nice little touch and a fun touch. And I think great to see Ed sort of really repulsed by his number one fan and wanting to get out of that bed as quickly as possible.
That was great. Really, really good. And lots of shades of misery in there as well. Yeah, I thought it was actually going to be Selena. I don't know why. It was something about her old costume, the traditional Selena costume from season 1, where she had the goggles on the head, making up the cat ears. That's what it reminded me of in silhouette. But yeah, definitely trying to change and guide us into thinking it's somebody else. And it turns out to be a brand new, wonderful Gotham resident.
Absolutely. The next voicemail comes in through from Annalise.
Hey guys, Annalise again, and I just finally caught up on episode 3, so if this doesn't make it into the podcast, that's fine. So there were some good things and some bad, well, not bad things, but kind of things in this episode. I really loved seeing Bruce and Alfred kind of together and figuring out, I guess, the masks that he's going to wear. I especially liked the whole boat scene where they were pretending to be just a random Gotham citizen. I'm not sure if I quite like the path they're going for Sophia Falcone yet, because it almost kind of seems to me like she's just going to be Jim's next love interest, and I'm just getting tired of that, to be honest. Like, I want them to be a more interesting character than just a side piece for Jim. I actually really loved Myrtle a lot, because being an Ed fan myself, I completely related to her so much, and I think my favorite scene this week is the one where she realizes she was working on the wrong muscle. So looking forward to hearing the episode.
Thanks so much for that, Annalise. You were a little bit late with the voicemail, but we held it back because you agreed with me on the best moment of the week. Loved Myrtle, really interesting. I suppose we've been to a lot of cons now with lots of Gotham fans, and there are some people that you would wonder about whether they would love to have Ed tied down to a bed in their house.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully as well, Sophia Falcone is really using Jim here. And she is a much stronger, more independent woman in Gotham, I think. That she really uses and abuses him to get back at Jim for Mario's death. That it's a part of a wider plan. It'll be kind of interesting to see how they go with it, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping that she's a much more complex character. I do feel that she's using something that Jim falls for, which is a pretty woman who comes on to him and likes his type of person. So, I think she's just using him as we mentioned on the podcast. Thanks so much for that voicemail feedback. It's really good to hear from you. Our next piece of feedback comes over from our Facebook group. If you want to join us on Facebook, you can join us at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV podcast. Jason Wiley says, hello, fellow Ridlettes. Really enjoying season 4 so far. Loving the new direction of the show is going, and things seem to have gone into overdrive. The Bruce arc is really well done, and it's nice to see more Foxy action, and the interaction between Bruce, Alfred and Foxy is working wonders at the Mo. Foxy, I presume, is Lucius Fox. Jason, yes. I do think the show needs to slow down a tad unless Bruce makes mistakes, develop his strengths and learn along the way. He seems a bit too polished right now, and I'm not digging the whole Barbara and Ra's al Ghul storyline with the Lazarus Pit. It just makes no sense at all that they'd even be a thing unless he is using her to control the underworld. I did, however, love the brief history about Ra's al Ghul at the beginning. I could have watched a whole episode about just that. Anyway, keep up the great work and roll on, Batman.
Completely agree that that opening, it would have been fantastic to have gotten that history of Ra's al Ghul for a whole episode. It also reminds me a bit like when they sort of delved back into the Court of Owls as well. That kind of context being brought to Gotham about its real distant past, or things and events or people that are impacting on Gotham, I think is really, really cool to see that the program does this occasionally. In terms of Barbara and Ra's, yes, that was some make-out indeed, as we've already discussed. It will be interesting, I suppose, just to see, what this relationship is about as we move forward. I think, this is a plunge for the audience into the icy cold water to really shock us into seeing that it was Ra's al Ghul who brought Barbara back. But I think hopefully we will get some kind of unraveling as to his full motives. I suspect it may be as simple as her fronting his operations in the underworld now that the Court of Owls has gone. But it'll be interesting to see, or whether it develops into a more romantic kind of thing. We do need to get Talia from somewhere. And it will be interesting if that comes from the pairing of Barbara and Ra's al Ghul. So maybe plunge yourself back into that ice bath after that thought. We also get Doug Green, who comes in with another great episode. Bratty Bruce was awesome, and it's great to see David show a different side other than stoic. Absolutely. The auction was a delight.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Richard Blaze says, great episode, loving street urchin Bruce and Alfred and Bratty Bruce. A nice bit of detective work in it as well. I am concerned, though, that there appears to be another master thief in Gotham. Where have all the bras gone? I wondered, are all the women going to catch their death of cold? Both Barbara and Sophia Falcone had this very similar dresses, one in black and one in white. I wonder if that symbolises that Sophia's working on the light side and Barbara's working on the dark. But there's definitely a costume choice in the show this season that does make you think of a new bra knicker.
Well, a bra and knickers stealer, maybe.
Bra thief, yes.
Yes, the bra thief. Let's hope a chill wind does not run through Gotham as we move forward from the Ra's al Ghul.
Well, Victor Fries has gone, so I presume there's no chill
winds. Well, he's still around.
He's disappeared back off to his hideout, I would say.
We have David Higuera as well. I thought it was a bit too soon to defrost Ed, but I'm glad he's back. I thought the girl that freed him would be around for a bit longer, but oh well. She was good in the episode, wanted to see what happened with Ivy, but I guess they're saving that for later. Awesome episode all round. 2 million, haha, good stuff. Yeah, definitely. I think you've touched on so many of the good points here. I definitely agree with you about Ivy. I was wondering whether we were going to get something, but I think they're saving that for later. I suppose she is such a big character. It will be nice to have an episode more devoted to her. As I say, I think Gotham really does ensemble writing and episodes really, really well. And even though this was an Alfred and Bratty Bruce, I'm liking that now, very centric around that, it still pulled in so many other elements that didn't dilute this really central stuff between Alfred and Bruce, and certainly the 2,000,001 cent was hilarious. I loved Barbara Keane's expressions as he keeps going, $1 and then 1 cent above each of her marks at the auction.
And then moves it from 300,000 to 2 million to buy it. So no chance she was ever going to catch up. And no way that Penguin was ever going to let her. Really good moment. Thanks so much for that feedback, David. And everybody over in our Facebook group. As I said, if you want to join us over there, over at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV podcast. We did live tweet the episode over on on our Twitter account at Gotham TV Podcast the other night, and we had a little competition courtesy of DC World, just asking for the Gotham moment of the week. At Keen's Galavan has won the competition. We will be in contact with you by direct message over on Twitter, just to get your details and get that t-shirt out to you. Hopefully we'll do some more competitions in the future, but if you want to enter our Gotham moment competition, all you need to do is email your thoughts about the episode with your favourite Gotham moment through to our email address at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone who was live tweeting along with us and joining us for our live tweets of this episode of Gotham. It was great to have all those moments of the week coming in to us, and well done, Keen's Galavan, for Bruce the Brat. Absolutely. Remember, you can join us over at Twitter as well. As always, please come over to @Gotham TV Podcast. Great for the t-shirt competition.
Yeah, we'll try and live tweet as many episodes as we can this season. It's always fun to be on there for live tweets. There's lots of fun stuff going on and lots of great gifts going around as the episodes go on. A little bit of news to close out the episode. The Gotham panel at New York Comic Con is actually taking place tomorrow, just after this episode's been released, so we don't want to have any news from that. We might talk about it next week if there's anything huge that comes up. Remember, as we mentioned, Creation Entertainment is going to have their first ever Gotham Fan Festival, Gotham dedicated fan festival, starring many of the actors from the show. That's going on next weekend in Chicago, which we'd love to have gone to. Hopefully we'll get to the second one. But one final, and I think very interesting bit of news that came from our friends over at comicbook.com. A character is returning for season 4, hot on the heels of the return of Jonathan Crane from season 1. We're going to be getting Tommy Elliott back on the show. Tommy Elliott was played by Cole Vallis back in season 1, I think it was episode 7. A very tense relationship between him and Bruce Wayne. In the comic books, those two characters were best friends as kids. It's one of the only real stories that we get from the childhood of Bruce Wayne, where his best friend was Tommy Elliott and then grew up to be a villainous character in the future.
Indeed.
Yeah. No word whether Cole Vallis is going to be back on the show.
I hope so. I mean, we really got quite excited in season 1 for seeing Tommy Elliott, and certainly it was only small amounts of scenes between Bruce and Tommy in season 1, but yeah, the scenes were really good. I mean, Gotham came at it from a different angle rather than being friends. It was all about bullying at the prep school that Bruce and Tommy went to, but it'd be great to see this character back in Gotham and interacting with Bruce Wayne, and I think we really are hopeful that Cole Vallis will come back in the same way as Charlie Tahan for the Scarecrow. I think they both did really good jobs in their respective seasons when they were first on the show. So really, really cool.
It would just be cool to have those characters back. I much prefer when they don't have to recast an actor and the actor gets to come back and play a bigger role. I know Cole Vallis at the time, he was a very young actor. He was only about 14 or 15 when he got the role, and he was really excited knowing that the character was Tommy Elliott. And I know it must be a little bit disappointing when you come on board, play a character that's from the comic books, and you don't get to do anything of the big moments. You don't get to play the part as friend to Bruce. I also kind of want them to expand on Bruce's circle of influence. He does need to have those characters. He does need to have people surrounding him, like Rachel Dawes, for example, who was created for the Nolan films. I'd love to see him have an interaction with a Rachel Dawes now, you know. I'd like to see him have some friends within Gotham and some other younger people, so that, not that this turns into a teen drama or anything, but I just would like to see a little bit more development of his circle around him.
Definitely. But as always, if you have any thoughts on any of the news, any of the points from the Gotham episodes, please send them through to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, or you can join our Facebook group over at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV Podcast. There are 3 little answers to get through the gate. We are the gatekeeper. And the key is 3 little questions. And of course, please send any voicemails through to us at gothamtvpodcast.com.
I promise they're not trivia questions. They're just very simple questions to get you into the group. But there is the page, obviously, as well. We do post all of the regular news over on the page. But if you want to come and join us in the group, just answer the quick questions and we'll let you in, obviously.
Yeah, and importantly, please come on over, listen, subscribe to our podcast over at Apple Podcasts or any other good podcast catcher, just head on over to gothamtvpodcast.com and choose one of your subscribe buttons, whether you're an Apple fan, an Android fan, or a fan of any other form or way of listening. You can even listen direct through the website if you want.
That's true.
There's a shock for you.
That's true. And leave us a review. We loved having a new review for Gotham TV Podcast. It's always fun. Great having the interaction on the episodes anyway. But if you want to leave us a review over on iTunes, sure, why not? Always nice to hear your thoughts about the episode.
So thank you so much for joining us. As always, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we will be back for Gotham Season 4, Episode 4, The Demon's Head, which airs on the 12th of October.
And written by Ben McKenzie.
Yeah, good old Benji.
Directed an episode back in Season 3 and now gets to write an episode in Season 4. Really excited to see what he brings to the writing room for this show.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, we will speak with you again soon.
Thanks so much, Gothamite. We'll talk to you again next time.
Bye.
This is Victoria Cartagena. I play Renee Montoya on Gotham.
Hey, this is Andrew Stewart-Jones. I play Christopher Allen on Gotham.
This is Robin Lord Taylor. I'm David Mazouz.
Hey, Gotham TV podcast listeners. This is Maggie Gia, otherwise known as Poison Ivy.
This is Drew Powell, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.